What's up, people? Welcome to Everybody Podcast, and this is Everybody's TUF. We're going to do a rewatch here. We're going to go back, and we're going to watch Season 1, Episode 1 of TUF, The Ultimate Fighter, the UFC's take on a reality TV show.
The Ultimate Fighter Season 1, the season that changed the trajectory of the entire sport forever.
Yeah, for real, dude. And
shit, MMA would not be where it is right now if it wasn't for this single season of reality television.
Yep, we've got some amazing fighters from this TV series, man.
Yeah, the first thing that I wrote down was Dana White. Literally, the first thing he says is, "Only two people in this room will fight in the UFC." That's so untrue.
That is very untrue.
Not every one of them, but more than half of them ended up fighting many fights in the UFC.
Yeah, dude. And that's why this first season was such a pivotal point for fighting. We got a lot of great fighters out of this season. Coaches, we have Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture for
the two most famous fighters at the time.
At that time, yeah. This was, you remember what year this one came out?
2005 or 2004? 2005, I believe.
Yep, and that was forever ago, but we're going to go back and rewatch it. So the first thing that I wanted to say that I noticed right away is I think Chris Lieben's a douchebag.
Yeah, he's funny, though. I think he's funny, man. He makes me laugh.
There's some funny things, and then there's like, fuck you, dog. Like, drunk Chris Lieben is a fuck.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of hilarious that he peed on that one dude's bed, though.
Yeah, oh, no, he said he what'd he say?
He said he spritzed. I actually wrote down, this would be my quote of this episode. He said, all I did was spritz. I just spritzed just to say, hey, quit being such a retard. They all, I forgot how popular it was back then to make fun of Canada. They were all just like, oh, he's Canadian. We're gonna fuck his, we're just gonna bust his balls this entire time.
And they definitely, peeing up, misting on the guy's bed.
Spritzing. He called it spritzing. I just spritzed. Though I don't know what's worse, that he peed on the dude's bed right where he's gonna lay his head, or that after he got done peeing, he used his own hands to rub it in.
His own hand to rub that shit in. And the guy's bed he peed on, that dude from this episode,
Jason Thacker was his name.
Yeah, he was one of the guys. He wanted to give up.
Yeah, right away, dude. It was 3 days in, and he was like, I don't know. Well, at one point, he's like, I think I should just cut my losses and leave. And all I could think was, what losses?
Yeah.
Maybe you happen to be the weakest link in this house right now, but you literally have nothing to lose out of any of this. You only have to gain.
Yeah.
Especially since they're not making them fight in every episode. It's like, what are you losing? If you leave, you're losing training from the two biggest martial artists in the world at the time.
Yeah, that could make you so much better than what you are.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't think you can do good enough, but these guys can make you do good enough.
Yeah, for sure.
You get there.
He had to have been. He said that he barely had any training.
Yeah,
and, where he was training wasn't great, but it's he had to have something going for him to go into the house, you know what I mean? To be there, he had to have something going for him. A professional record, for one thing. I didn't look up what his professional record was at the time, but he still had to have had one.
And getting that kind of an opportunity, you think he wouldn't even have it in his mind that, I think I'm going to leave because I think I'm going to lose. That shouldn't even be your head. You have a golden opportunity right here, dog.
Yeah,
take that shit and run with it.
Yeah, man. The UFC was giving all of them so much at that point. You might as well just take it.
Yeah, they were all amazed by the gym. All the fighters were excited about the gym. We got a lot of training. We get to there's a lot more stuff that goes on in these earlier episodes, man.
Yeah, well, it seems like they didn't have the time with them in the newest season.
Yeah.
In season 29, they didn't have the time to really push them before they picked their teams. But in this season, they had it all planned out. They really had the time to let them show them what they have. Because you got Chris Lieben got fucking wasted the night before.
Yeah.
And ended up going harder than everybody on the treadmill.
And then fucking sparring, or not really sparring, but wrestling around and shit, and then throwing up.
That wasn't Lieben though.
That
was
wasn't Lieben? Yeah,
that
it was.
Rafferty was throwing up, wasn't he? Maybe they both did. But that was something else that's great about this season. They actually introduced everybody,
everybody.
right away.
You
like
knew.
right away. I remember almost everybody's name. Like I know almost everybody's name from just this one episode as compared to the first few episodes of the newest season where it was like some guys would just show up. You're like, who the fuck is that guy? Where did he come from? Like that Dustin Lampros. It's like, no offense to the guy, but he just kind of, one day they were like, oh, Dustin Lampros is fighting. And we're just like, who?
Yeah.
Like Dustin Lampros, who the fuck is that?
And they even got they even introduced like the assistant coaches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get that in the newer seasons.
Yeah,
like we know who everybody is that's involved in this new season. Everybody.
You mean in the old season?
They were in the old season, yeah.
It feels like new because we just started it.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's fucking 16 years old, though.
Yeah. So we know everybody that's involved in this. And then
it's crazy seeing all these guys that ended up becoming like stars in the UFC.
Yeah.
Diego Sanchez, fucking Josh Koscheck, Kenny Florian, Stephan Bonner, fucking Forrest Griffin. These guys became like the faces of the UFC for a long time. And Diego Sanchez obviously is still very prominent in the UFC, I think.
No,
we don't really know.
He was released.
Oh, did they release him?
Yeah.
Well, he got rid of Fabia, so hopefully they'd be willing to at least give him another opportunity.
Like one more fight. Or maybe, well, UFC doesn't do one fight deals, I don't think.
Yeah, I feel like somebody that helped make their division like he did, you know, like he was a big part of the promotion. I feel like they could give him some opportunity. At the same time, maybe they think he's mentally unwell. I don't know. Yeah. But it's cool. It's just cool seeing the start of these guys' UFC career after so many years. You know, Stephan Bonner and Forrest Griffin, I think, are both retired. So at this point, 16 years ago, it was like the start of their career, and they're not necessarily already, but they don't fight anymore. You know,
fucking Chris Lieben is in fucking bare knuckle.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's still winning fights and shit. Getting beat up. And those guys are like,
I remember watching him fucking fight Anderson Silva, and that was like one of Anderson Silva's like coming out fights because he made, as good as Chris Lieben was, he made Chris Lieben like look like he'd never been in a fight before. You know, he just totally picked him apart, just like Anderson Silva did back in the day.
They sparred in this episode, and speaking of Forrest Griffin, there was an accidental headbutt that caused his opponent to get a cut.
And Stephan Bonner.
Yeah, needed stitches.
There's two guys. Nate Quarry, same thing. He had to get stitches on his chin. But watching Forrest Griffin spar, it looks like it's not easy for him to go 50%. You know, he doesn't look like, he seems like, and you could tell with his fights because he was always the guy that the first round was never his round. He had to like get fired up, and once he got fired up, there was no stopping him. But it looks like that same thing kind of carries over into his sparring because like if you watch, at least the way that if you watch that episode, Couture keeps having to step in and be like, hey relax, relax. Chill, this is sparring, you need to like relax, we need to make sure that we take care of each other here, you know.
Yep. And Forrest Griffin definitely felt like shit after that happened. Yeah. You heard him yet like, oh shit, or oh fuck or something after he noticed the cut above his eyebrow.
Mm-hmm. It's probably good that they aren't fighting every fucking episode because then those two guys would be out.
Yeah, right.
You know, if they wouldn't be able to fight, so they'd be out. At least I don't think they'd be able to fight with the stitches.
Not with stitches, no way. That shit would get busted open and they'd just bleed everywhere all over again.
And you got to give it Nate Quarry has just always been a stand-up guy. You know, he's got a lot of heart because he right away was just like, they keep making me they're making me go to get stitches. I don't want to. I'd rather finish training.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to lose this opportunity that I have of a couple of weeks to train with some of the greatest guys in the world. So I really don't want to do this, but they're going to make me. You couldn't even see the fucking cut. Like you saw the blood on his chest, but you couldn't. It was like it couldn't have been that big because it was right under his chin, and you couldn't even see it in the fucking episode. They made him do it.
We got to see they picked their teams at the end of the episode, or not really the end of the episode. It's close to the end of the episode. Who do you think is going to be a better coach?
Well, I've already seen the episode or seen the season, so I kind of know already.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I watched it so long ago that I can't remember anything.
Yeah, I just watched it last year.
So it's exciting for me.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. But who do you think's gonna be the better coach?
I'm gonna say Randy Couture because I see Chuck Liddell as just the guy who just goes in there and hits people, throws bombs, and then Randy Couture is an all around fighter. He can go anywhere with the fight and put you out.
Mm-hmm. Do you know who won already though, right?
Nope.
Okay, that's good. That's good. The last couple of fights are going to be pretty exciting for you then.
Oh wait, I know one of the winners.
Yeah, because he's like the most famous. The other one's always overlooked. The other one is 100% always overlooked. Everybody's like, I'm just gonna say, everybody's like Forrest Griffin. That's who you know, right?
Yes.
Everybody's like Forrest Griffin is the original Ultimate Fighter, but they always overlook the middleweight Ultimate Fighter, who I think fought more than Forrest Griffin in the house. I did just watch it last year, but I can't quite remember. But I think the middleweight fighter actually, because they don't fight until around the middle of the season, then they start doing the fights.
Yeah.
And I think that the middleweight fighter had 2 fights in the house, and I think Forrest Griffin only had 1.
Oh wow.
I think I could be wrong. That might all be. I might be remembering it incorrectly, but yeah, not everybody fights. I don't think. I think they start getting rid of people before fighting starts because the first 2 seasons they didn't make them fight to stay in the house. They actually, I think the coaches voted people out, or they voted people out, or if they lost a competition they got kicked out or something like that. But they didn't actually make them fight like they do now. Like now it's like, oh, you don't get out. You have to, if you're getting kicked out of the house, it's because you lose a fight. You know.
Yeah. Another thing I liked about this episode is that we get to see, like we mentioned it before, about knowing who the fighters are. Like, we actually got to see their personalities as well into the house.
Yep.
Because, like, as soon as the episode started, it was like gym and then straight to the house. We've seen a bunch of stuff go on between training and the house.
Yeah, they were able to really introduce the characters, or I guess the fighters, not really characters, real people, but they really introduced the fighters a lot better, I think, this season. You know, and this was in the prime time of reality television. So these people that's what they were fucking there for. That's what, like, the producers and everything were hired to make this a reality TV show.
And they knew what was up, dude. They knew how to make a reality TV show.
Yeah, who knows if Lieben really even acted that way while the first day. You know what I mean? Like, they might have just made it look like the very first day.
They clipped it.
Yeah, you never know. But I mean, since I did just watch it, I will say you do start to realize that is Lieben, though. Jesus. Like, he is that kind of, like, he has that kind of wild personality. And it shows in his fighting, too. The dude has, if you look at his record, he's got, like, when he was in the UFC, it's like knockout of the night, performance of the night, knockout of the night. Like, he's a wild fighter. That's fun fantastic to watch.
And that's exactly what they said. They said Chris Lieben is a wild man. And he definitely is a wild man. He's got, in episode 1 here, he's got a bright personality. May not be the best personality at some people, but
he's definitely obnoxious. But that's reality TV, man. He's actually got the fists to back it up. You know, he's got the skills to back up that attitude that he has.
That's probably why he does whatever the fuck he wants. So what are you gonna do about it? You know.
He even said in the episode, he's like, I was trying to get everybody to drink because I wanted them to underperform, but then I just ended up drinking and underperforming. But he still like outperformed everybody on the fucking treadmill.
Yeah, dude. Even though he looked like he was gonna fucking die.
Yeah, he looked like when it first showed it, I was like, is he crying right now?
That's fucking funny, dude. And then he cramped up after the whole sparring or whatever.
Yeah, on the ground when they were doing grappling training, he cramped up and he was punching his own leg.
Yeah, Couture is like, get some potassium, avoid the alcohol.
Yeah. So they don't.
I can't believe that they actually put alcohol in the fighter's house.
Oh, yeah, that's reality TV. You can't have reality TV without locking a bunch of people in a house together with bottles of liquor. Like, that's what reality TV was in the early 2000s.
I wonder if, like... Nah, they wouldn't show that on TV anyways. I was going to say the new season. It's legal in Nevada, right?
What if they were smoking pot?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I don't think they would show it just because the fact that maybe kids are watching it.
Yeah,
but
fucking crap.
I think it is legal in Nevada, and I think it seems to me. I think I said this on one of our episodes. It seemed to me like Brian Battle was high a couple of times. I don't know, because I did ask that question on one of our episodes of the season 29 review. Was what I wonder if they're allowed to smoke in there. So I think they're allowed to drink. They might have taken alcohol away from them too. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's why we're not getting as much drama because nobody's drunk.
I said to go back to making their picks. You noticed KOTOR, they don't have you pick a middleweight, I pick a middleweight. No, you pick a light heavyweight, I'll pick a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Because the first two guys that KOTOR picked were middleweights. And do you know why he picked those guys? Because he's already fucking training those guys.
Oh, really?
Lieben and Quarry are both were both members of Extreme KOTOR before The Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, no shit, dude.
That's one of the things I feel like maybe KOTOR made a mistake there. I mean, it's probably not a mistake because he already knows these guys. He already knows how to train them and coach them. So that's why he did it. You know, he knows the way that they fight and all that. Probably better than anybody. But at the same time, it seems like he's picking the guys that he knows over the guys that are the best. But at the same time, too, Nate Quarry did end up being a fantastic fighter, too. So did Chris Lieben.
Yeah. Here's another thing. Who's the woman? What's
Willow Ford?
Well, yeah, why does she got to be there?
Again, back to reality TV, the early 2000s. They need to have a pretty lady with her boobs out, right?
Shit, dude.
Like that was the reality TV of the early 2000s. Every show was hosted by a hot blonde chick with her tits out and narrated by Mike Rowe.
Yeah, dude. Yep. She came on. She would round up the fighters. That was basically her job, and then tell them what's gonna happen next.
Yeah. Now Dana White just does that.
Yeah.
Like in the new season, he's just like, we don't need to hire a person to do that. I'll just do it.
Yeah, and I'll keep the money. Give me the money.
And how different does he look too?
Yeah, right?
Like,
dude,
he looks like a completely different person.
Jerry watched it with me because, like, and the first time that she saw Dana White, she's like, oh, my God, look at Dana White. Like, holy shit, I can't believe he looked like that. I was like, well, that was way back in the day.
And now he's fucking jacked.
Yeah, now
he's got a fat head.
Uncle Fester.
Uncle
right?
Fester, yeah. I watched a documentary on Joe Rogan. I might have told you about this, but it's like a funny documentary that's kind of making fun of everybody in it. And they talk about Dana White because of his relationship. I think they just bring up that Joe Rogan is friends with Dana White. When they do, they're like, Joe Rogan's friend, the testicle-headed Dana White. Ever since then, I just can't like see his head without like thinking of a ball sack. Especially now, like now that he's old, his head's all wrinkly and shit.
That's hilarious.
I think he does TRT, so he's always like fucking red, like he's fucking having a heart attack all the time.
Yeah, dude. Now that you say that, I definitely noticed that a lot.
Like, I think I think just like Joe Rogan, both of them, their heads got fatter, and they're both always red, and I think that's from TRT.
That's crazy. They won't admit to taking it though.
Rogan will.
Has he?
Yeah, Rogan fucking is very open about taking TRT.
Oh, okay.
I bet you Dana White would admit it too, because he'd just be like, I'm not competing, so I could take whatever the fuck I want.
That's testosterone, right?
They used to let him take TRT. Half of the guys that are in that house eventually ended up taking TRT at some point, because they used to allow it in the UFC. As long as you got a doctor to say he needs to take this, they were allowed to take it.
Yeah. You know, there's been some cases where the fighter provided like a steroid prescription. It was like, I need to take this, but they still fined him. I remember watching a video about it. I can't remember who the fighter
Frankie
was.
Edgar or Chad Mendez. I think it's Chad Mendez.
Possibly.
He has psoriasis. When you have like the skin on your arm dies and flakes off.
Yeah, that's probably who it was, dude.
Yeah, he got suspended, I think, for 3 years because it was a real like severe steroid that they take really seriously in USADA. But his doctor provided him this cream, and he never looked into the cream. He was just like he wasn't like he was taking it or injecting it. It was literally a cream that he rubbed on his arms and legs, and it had some like some banned substance that was like real that they take really seriously in it, and he just didn't know. He just went to his doctor, and his doctor was like, "I'm gonna prescribe you this. Here you go," and he just did it and didn't even think about the fact that he was gonna pop a test.
Yeah.
This was the early days of USADA too, so it was probably like in the back of his head, you know.
Fucking USADA, dude. Especially if it's something you need, it shouldn't be a problem. If you have proof right in front of him.
Well, the thing is, it's easy to pay off a doctor and get him to say you need this.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's what some of the guys were doing with TRT. They were like, because like with your testosterone levels, it's a pretty wide range of what you're allowed to have. You know what I mean? Like I don't know the exact levels or anything, but I've listened to some people talk about it, and it's a pretty wide range. So if you're just on like the kind of low part of that range, they can just be like, yeah, you can use more of that, and just to get you up to the top of that range. You know what I mean? If any of that makes sense, the way that I explained it.
Yeah, dude, I got you, man. So what would you rate this episode?
I mean, I love the first season of The Ultimate Fighter, so I'm just going to go ahead and give it a 5 out of 5.
I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 as well.
Mostly because of that quote of, I spritz because he won't stop being a retard. It's just funny, man. And Chris Lieben, just because I watched it last year, I already know, like, he makes me laugh consistently throughout this entire season. I already know.
It was definitely a very entertaining episode. That's why I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 because it kept me watching. Like, I liked it. It had its, like I said, we got introduced to all the fighters. We seen their personalities. We seen a lot of their training. We seen them spar 50% supposedly, but you know some guys can't control it.
Yeah, it's
so we got everything.
I'm looking forward to talking about the rest of the episodes of the season and next season. Like I like these earlier seasons of The Ultimate Fighter were really fun. Before we're done, I wanted to ask what was the first season of The Ultimate Fighter you ever watched?
Whoa, what a good question.
I know we're going over a little bit right now, but I forgot to ask it at the beginning, and I wanted to ask.
Probably the one where Uriah Faber and
it was Uriah Faber and McGregor, wasn't it?
Yeah, no.
Those were the two coaches.
McGregor was a guest, wasn't he?
I think he was the coach because that was the first season that the two coaches didn't fight because they're in different weight classes.
That's not the one then. Man, that's a good question.
I think the first one that I ever watched, and it's what got me into the UFC, I believe it was Frank Mir and Minotauro Nogueira, or Antonio Nogueira. They're both named, I don't remember. Big Nog. It was Big Nog.
Yeah.
And Frank Mir, I think. And who was on it? I don't know if a lot of guys came from that. I should have looked it up, but I'd have to go back and look. But I don't think a lot of like real Ryan Bader. Ryan Bader was in that fucking season. And I think he was the big standout of that season.
Wow.
I can't remember. I don't think a lot of the guys in that season didn't really amount to a lot in the UFC, you know? They didn't, except for Bader.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at the episode list, though. I think it's like season 8 or season 9, something like that.
And now he's a powerhouse in Bellator.
Yeah, I think, is he still the light heavyweight and heavyweight champion in Bellator? I think he's both.
I think he is both, yeah.
I think they're doing a tournament now to determine.
I definitely see the tournament going on.
But yeah, he definitely, and he was a favorite in the episode or in that season because I don't know, he just looked good in every one of his fights.
Fuck yeah. Well, 5 out of 5 for me, 5 out of 5 for Cody over here. This has been Everybody's Tough. You'll catch us next week and we'll be doing more of these episodes. So stay tuned. Peace.
Peace.